The fall of Weinstein, a scapegoat in the theater of shadows. In a world ruled not by laws but by symbols, Harvey Weinstein's dramatic fall was not justice served, it was a calculated sacrifice. A scapegoat thrown to the mob to preserve the illusion of moral order in an empire that long ceased to care for either morality or order. Like in the ancient Roman Colosseum, where the elite fed one of their own to the lions to distract the masses, Weinstein's public humiliation served a greater purpose. It was not about protecting women, it was about protecting power. For decades, Weinstein was one of Hollywood's untouchables. He knew where the bodies were buried. He had helped craft careers, bought silence, and dictated the narratives of culture through cinema. But power has a half-life in the court of the cabal. Weinstein's ascent may have emboldened him to ignore certain expectations, perhaps even reject demands made quietly by Mossad or the network that operates above elected governments and beneath public scrutiny. When a servant grows too proud, Machiavelli teaches us, the prince must remove him before he becomes a rival. The silence of the Israel lobby in Weinstein's trial is deafening. This is a machine known for mobilizing media, legal, and political assets with ruthless precision when one of its favored sons is under threat. Yet, Weinstein was left to rot. Why? The answer may lie not in what he did, but in what he refused to do, or in what he knew. Was he in possession of sensitive lists, secrets that implicated powerful names, the kind of knowledge that Epstein once held? If so, his punishment was not for the crimes he committed, but for the silence he refused to keep. Just as Epstein's prison cell became his tomb, and Maxwell now lives in a gilded cage of controlled silence, Weinstein's trial served as a ritual. The public, spoon-fed outrage by obedient media, never asked the deeper question, who benefits from his fall? And more importantly, what truths died with him? Edmund Safra, the billionaire banker with deep intelligence ties, was burned alive in his own fortress. Epstein, the shadowy financier of the global elite's darkest appetites, supposedly hanged himself in a surveillance-proof cell. Madoff, the wizard of Wall Street fraud, was buried with secrets he never disclosed. Michael Jackson, whose wealth and independence threatened the labels and industries he broke free from, died mysteriously under the care of a personal physician. In each case, a rebel was removed. A vault of secrets was sealed. Weinstein, for all his flaws, may have flown too close to that same sun. His arrogance made him reckless. He believed he was one of them, but forgot that he was always a servant, never a master. When the cabal decides that someone is expendable, the narrative writes itself. The U.S. justice system, more a theater than a court, plays its role faithfully. The judge dons the mask of virtue. The media conducts the chorus of condemnation, and the mob chants for blood. And where does Trump stand in all of this? A man who once embraced Weinstein, who moved in the same circles, who knew Epstein, and who speaks of draining swamps while swimming in them. Is he a player in the game, or just another piece? One cannot tell in a theater where all actors wear masks, and even the director hides behind curtains. Weinstein's fall is not an isolated scandal. It is part of a recurring pattern, a purge disguised as justice, a message to others who might stray. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be feared than loved. But in this new empire, it is better to be silent than feared, because those who inspire fear eventually attract knives. And Weinstein, he forgot the oldest rule of power. Never believe the mob will save you when the prince demands your head. The hashtag #MeToo movement, which erupted after the Weinstein scandal, has ironically done more harm than good for both women and men seeking genuine relationships. Today, many men are reluctant to approach or date women, fearing accusations that can arise from even consensual encounters. The Julian Assange case is a perfect example of how this climate can be manipulated. Swedish women were allegedly used to frame him, paving the way for legal persecution. Assange had exposed powerful figures, like the Clintons and other Democrats, who were determined to silence him and send a warning to others who might unveil inconvenient truths. One of the most absurd moments in this saga was when Assange was accused of rape by a woman he had consensual sex with the night before. We've now reached a point where men may need a notarized video-recorded consent form before sex, just to protect themselves legally. That's not to say Weinstein was innocent. He clearly used his status to exploit young women desperate for fame. But let's not pretend this entire movement wasn't also hijacked for political agendas and media theatrics. We live in a society where trust between people, and especially in institutions like the justice system, has eroded. It's no surprise some are turning to robots for companionship. Of course, it's only a matter of time before lawyers figure out how to accuse robot owners of abuse too. In the end, the hashtag #MeToo movement has begun to resemble a modern farce. One as cynical and hollow as the carbon tax or the cryptocurrency bubble. Another tool of control, masked as justice.